Sykes, who's an Assistant Attorney General and leads our civil rights effort, and Sean Riddell, who's our Chief Prosecutor at the Department of Justice. At the Oregon Department of Justice, we're deeply committed to protecting the civil rights of all Oregonians and working very closely with all of our partners, the Bureau of Labor and Industries, as well as local and state law enforcement, to make sure that when the law is violated, people are held accountable. One of the things that we have undertaken internally at the department is a review of hate crimes in Oregon. And so over the course of spring, we've been doing two things. One is we've been collecting information about hate crime incidents within Oregon's borders. And second, we've been reviewing Oregon's legislation. And that work is ongoing. We're not yet ready to share the results of our review. We hope to do that in the summer and in fall. But we've reached two preliminary conclusions. One is that, in some respects, Oregon law needs to be strengthened to hold people accountable, in a more appropriate and aggressive fashion when they commit bias crimes. Obviously, all crimes are important, but there's something particularly damaging to our community when people are singled out and targeted for a crime because of who they are or what they believe or where they come from. And so we're going to be reviewing Oregon's laws, and I suspect in fall, when we've completed that review, we'll be making some proposals to strengthen Oregon's laws so that when people commit these kinds of offenses, there's a more appropriate response. The other conclusion we have reached is that we need to try to find ways to ensure that when there are hate crimes or bias crimes committed, that those get reported. And what we're announcing today is the creation of an online reporting system that will allow people to inform the Department of Justice when they are either a victim of or witness a hate crime or a bias crime. To put this in context a little bit, it's really interesting. This proposal really comes independently from two different sources. One is that when we started to compile information about hate crimes in Oregon, one of the things that we kept seeing, and Sean may be able to comment on this a little bit more, is that often there's a media report about some kind of incident, but there isn't necessarily a police report that details what happened. And that suggests to me as a prosecutor that we may have a pretty significant underreporting problem, meaning that when you look at those records, all of these incidents are not being reported to the local law enforcement authorities, and thus may not be investigated or prosecuted the way other crimes should be. And that intersected with the comments that members of the community made at the meeting that was held here last week. I was not able to attend, but obviously some members of our office did, and one thing that they heard was anecdotal evidence to support the conclusion that our look at all the incidents indicated, which is that people are not always comfortable reporting these incidents. They do not always feel that if they report these incidents to local law enforcement, that process will result in the appropriate response. And so people are afraid to tell the police what happened or uncomfortable telling the police what happened. And so in response to that, we've created this online reporting form. It's modeled over the reporting form we use for environmental crimes. That was another area where we think there's some underreporting of activity around the state. And the goal is to give people a safe and appropriate and respectful way to let the law enforcement community here at the Department of Justice know what has happened. So perhaps I'd just ask Sean Riddell to speak a little bit about the form and what information is collected and what we'll do with it.
Sure. Once again,